like to request a very senior IAS officer, very humble person, and a versatile, talented person, Sri Manoj Dwivedi ji, to kindly come and deliver his speech. So before he comes, I would like to give a brief introduction about him. Shri Manoj K. Dwivedi IAS is serving as Additional Secretary in the Department of Personnel and Training in the Prime Minister's Office, Government of India, and looks after all senior appointments, recruitments, and cadre management. And that too, the lateral entry appointments which the Government of India has started. So everything is being looked after by Shri Manoj Dwivedi. He is the pioneer of lateral entry, mission recruitment, and public examination reforms recently initiated by the government. You must have heard about, paper leak issues in different states of India. So the government of India, on his initiative, especially they prepared a special law for that, and he was the pioneer in doing that, examination reforms law. He has earlier served in the Ministry of Commerce and Industries in central government as Joint Secretary. In Ministry of Commerce, he successfully led international trade negotiations and EXIM policies for Africa, Middle East, and West Asia. He has also represented India in G20 countries and International Kimberley Process Initiative. Earlier, he had played a significant role in India's ratification to United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Recently, Mr. Dwivedi was posted in Jammu and Kashmir, and he was the part of the core team that worked on the implementation of the abrogation of Article 370, taking all measures for alignment of J&K with Constitution of India and central government act rules. This sincerely, it deserves a big round of applause for Mr. Dwivedi. He has experience of working in the field of health, education, information technology, renewable energy, environment, industries, and commerce. He served as district magistrate in Jammu and Ladakh, as well as various divisions of Jammu and Kashmir. An alumni of IIT Delhi and IIM Bangalore, he has also been to Cambridge University, UK, for accomplishing a course. Mr. Manoj Dwivedi is recipient of Prime Minister's Award for E-Governance in 2012 and a State Award for Outstanding Integrity and Public Service in 2021. Mr. Dwivedi has authored various articles in leading journals and publications. His role as Additional Secretary in the Government of India underscores his commitment to driving impactful policy decisions. With his extensive experience in governance and public administration, he brings a wealth of knowledge to the conclave, particularly on fostering entrepreneurship and innovation. A big round of applause for Mr. Manoj K. Dwivedi.
Good morning, friends. The chief guest of the day, Mr. K.J. Alphonse, our senior in bureaucracy and former minister, an eminent personality known for his leadership, and he has inspired hundreds and thousands of youngsters like me when we were aspiring to be part of the Indian bureaucracy. My friends from government, Niti Aayog from state governments, my senior in Ministry of Commerce, Mr. J.K. Dadu, who is a very eminent thinker and always full of bright ideas, participants from the corporate sector and other walks of life. It's an opportunity to be here because we very rarely get occasions when we have the government as well as the corporate sector sitting together and thinking of development. The corporate sector, obviously, the prime goal is to make profits, make money. The government's prime role is to reach out to the people for the service deliveries and policies. But when they come together, I think we can see the future. Because the energy, the contemporary ideas, the connectivity with the world that corporate sector enjoys somewhat is not that intense in government. But government is custodian of policy making and custodian of the delivery of services. So therefore, when the two come together, I think we can always work towards looking at a bright future of the country with generation of ideas and working out practical ways of implementing them. We have been hearing very recently, since maybe a year or so, that we are working towards becoming a Viksit Bharat. That means a developed nation by 2047. We shall be celebrating 100 years of independence from the British rule in 2047. And that marks the year as the year where we should set our goals to be among the top 3 economies of the world and be a developed country by then. So on one hand, we are seeing that there is rise in the income levels of the poorest of the poor. 20% of the poorest of the poor have been pulled out from the extreme poverty. And I would say that is a significant change for a developing country where these are the people who represented the poverty, the condition of the country, and once they have been pulled out of the poorest of poor category, I think they are going to join the future middle income group, the middle class, that will shape the nation. We are also seeing a substantial upgradation of the infrastructure development, roads, railways, airways, shipping, etc., leading to a better connectivity, better mobility, and also reduction in the logistics cost. This is a significant improvement that we are seeing in last, I would say, a decade or so. So we can say that as a consumer-driven domestic economy, we are doing very well. We have a population of 140 crores, 1.4 billion. We consume, somebody has to provide for that, services, manufacturing, everything. And this consumption itself can trigger a growth, and no wonder we are among the fastest growing economies of the world as of date. But we have to think that what are the threats for the future? Threats like artificial intelligence, global slowdown, increasing aging population in our country, these are going to cloud our growth in future and adversely impact jobs and general productivity of this nation. So keeping those threats in mind, keeping our ambitions and aspirations in mind, what we are already doing, and having a satisfaction of getting a good growth based on the consumption-driven economy, we can say that we are doing fairly good. But I would say that is not enough. So what do we need to look forward next, and especially for next 25 years when we want to reach 2047 as a developed nation? So in that context, I must compliment the organizers of this corporate conclave that they have very aptly chosen the theme as transforming India through local to global and leveraging of technology, education, and entrepreneurship. I think this tagline and this theme of the conclave sets a very right tone and perspective for today's conclave, where I think minds can come together and come up with good ideas in this area. We need to grow at 8 to 9% consistently for next 2 decades, but that we cannot do simply depending on the local consumption-driven economy and local incomes. So therefore, an important element for future growth has to be internationally driven trade, both services trade as well as mercantile trade. So based on this, the theme today and this perspective that I have given, in next few minutes, I would like to give some mantras for the same. Why mantras? Because mantra is something which is not chanted once. It is something which has to be repeatedly chanted, and unless you do it over and over again, the impact, the benefit of the mantras is not there. So therefore, these are some areas which have to be a priority, both for the government as well as the corporate sector, and we'll have to actually repeatedly make efforts to achieve in this area. Both government and private sector have to work together. It cannot be achieved by any one side entirely. The first mantra is that we should look at all areas where there is a potential of import substitution. Still, in India, our imports are very high, and we have been importing things which the time has come that we should start thinking that can we substitute them through local manufacturing and local services, and have a roadmap for doing away with those imports. This is going to save a lot of foreign exchange and also provide potential jobs to our aspiring workforce. This would enhance technology transfer, knowledge transfer, and entrepreneurship in this country, which is going to have a very positive, cascading, and exponential impact on the economy. I would quote just a few examples of this. The list cannot be exhaustive in a small interaction. We'll have to work on it. Some examples are, we need to reduce energy imports through reducing dependence on petrol, diesel, coal, etc. And in-house development of electric vehicles, batteries, solar energy, hydro, and other such substitutes. They have a potential of saving $100 billion. Now, it is not just about this number. It is more about developing capacities which will take us ahead in the right direction. The second example can be local manufacturing of machinery, electronics, telecom parts, things like mobiles. These include industrial and defense equipments. This again has a potential of saving a foreign exchange of $100 billion. Local manufacturing of active pharmaceutical ingredients. This is a very important area where I think recently when we have been depending on China in a very large way. China has enhanced the prices like anything. This has increased the cost and obviously thinned the margin of people in this business in India. So we need to now start think in a large way to manufacture active pharmaceutical ingredients and key starting materials for pharmaceuticals and chemical industries. This will not only save $60 billion, but will provide huge employment in these areas and enhance our export potential in the pharma and chemical sectors. The list is much longer. These are just few indicative examples. The second mantra is we need to look at relatively untapped areas of exports. One such untapped area is the manpower. We are a populous country with a very rich demography. We have 140 crore people. And I think the best commodity that we can export to the world and make the world benefit from it and also gain from it is our manpower. But in the times of AI, how do we do that? Now, physical movement is not required for you to work in software areas or digital space and all that. So I think an important area is that of caregivers, physiotherapists, and skilled workers. For developed countries, aging population is there. They do not have enough people to take care of them. Countries like Japan, European countries, they need such people. And these are the jobs which will not be dampened by the advent of AI and other recent trends. So we should have very carefully crafted MOUs with these countries and try to push this as a very strong agenda. High-class institutes of higher education need to be there in India. More than 1.1 million students go abroad and spend $80 billion in getting higher education, in which I can say 70–80% of that education is of no great value. It is something which we can provide here in India itself and save this foreign exchange and also make people proud of having studied in India itself. All it would require is changing the system of maybe getting admissions into the colleges, subsidizing the poor and those who cannot afford through scholarships, and at the same time, people who can pay, people who don't mind spending 10 million rupees going abroad and taking a degree, they should be charged fully here also. We have more than 970 institutions, higher education institutions in this country, and still if our people have to go out to get degrees and spend so much money outside, I think this is one important area we need to work on. Instead of exporting raw materials, agriculture produce, etc., we should encourage processing and value addition. If we import raw materials, we lose out on so much of value addition that can provide jobs in this country. And actually, I would say that it is a drain of the resources, although we do earn something as a export, by exporting these. So this would boost MSME sector and also bring in export earnings. Tourism potential of India is tremendous. We are one single country which has everything from beaches to sand to mountains, snow, rivers, everything is there. From adventure tourism to pilgrim tourism, we have every kind of potential in our tourism sector, but I think this is one potential which still remains largely untapped. If we are able to invite the world to come to India for different kind of experiences, I think this is one area where a lot of foreign exchange can be earned. Other than this, obviously, enhancing exports is a very detailed area, and we can look at item-wise things and work towards them, but we'll have to enhance our manufacturing capacities, we'll have to enhance our skills also. And the third and the last mantra that I would like to give is that we have to work intensely in skill development. By year 2047, we would have lost the advantage of young population that we have today. We would enter into a stage where we will have more people to take care because of the aging population, and that youth and vibrance and that energy would slowly come down. So this is the time that we should skill our people appropriately at different levels and use them, make them more employable, make them contribute better to the GDP of this country and also to the exports and exports. So in next 2 decades, I think we should focus very largely on this. If we are able to do all this, these would strengthen the foundation on which we would build the future, which will be the future of our dreams, of jobs for all, appropriate education for all, world leadership in technology, knowledge leadership, a dream to build the Viksit Bharat, our country, that we will be proud of. Thank you very much.